You've left school or college and have to decide what to do next. Go to university, take an apprenticeship, or maybe even go straight out to work. It's a tricky decision, but the good news is help is just around the corner. Hello and welcome to Learn. I'm Kevin Harris. Now, with A-level results out tomorrow, deciding what is the right step after leaving school or college can be a stressful time. Whether you're going to university or whether you're going to take an apprenticeship or go straight out to work, you want to be completely happy with your decision. Well, I'm pleased to say, joining us here today to try and offer some insight into all of those options is career coach and recruitment advisor Aimee Bateman, as well as two people with first-hand experience of both university and apprenticeships, Harry Collins and Aimee Mason. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you.
And as always, thanks to yourselves for watching along today, wherever you are right now. And of course, we are live. So if you have any questions for our panel, then please use the box on your screen and we'll do our best to tackle them over the course of the next 15 minutes or so. And if you're tweeting whilst watching the show, please use the hashtag that is hashtag StudioTalkTV and we'll try to give you a mention. So guys, thanks for coming in once again. Aimee, we'll start with you if we may. It's quite a nerve-wracking time for a lot of people all across the UK tomorrow, isn't it? Nerve-wracking at the moment, a big day tomorrow, I should say.
Yeah, really big day. I think it's, it's a number of years of hard work and there's a lot of factors that are going to decide, are going to come out of what happens tomorrow really and impact people's lives in quite a big way. So yeah, I feel for them.
Yeah, and Harry and Emma, obviously for you guys, you probably remember a little bit more than we do, certainly I do. the A-level results there. What are your memories of that day?
I remember it being such a big build-up, and then when the day finally came, it was just a huge relief, and it sort of path the next couple of years of my life. So it was a huge relief on the day. Yeah,
huge relief on the day. What about yourself, Emma?
I was so scared. I remember being so nervous for so long, and I was just the night before, no sleep or anything, and then when you get the results, it's finally just like a massive weight off your shoulders. But then you suddenly start thinking about the next step as well. So it is a really nervous time for any person getting the results.
And you mentioned the next step there. I mean, Aimee, how important is it for people like Harry and Emma, obviously those that are going through the system tomorrow, to know what the next step in their career is going to be? The day before or when they get the results. They've got to have that plan in place.
Yeah, I think it's important to have a plan. I mean, there's that saying, isn't it, if you fail to plan, then plan to fail and all that kind of stuff. But I think what is important is that things change and at that age, you're not expected to know what you want to do for the next 40 years of your life. That's okay to not know. But as long as you have some kind of idea about where you want to go, then that's important, obviously, but sometimes you can get to the destination and get a different, go on a different route than you originally planned to, so it's kind of, you don't want to add any more pressure to them, really.
Absolutely, because there'll be a lot of people tomorrow who won't get the grades that they were expecting. The university place that they thought they were going to get probably won't be there, so they've got to look at other options.
I had that. That was my feeling, and I remember that. I remember being like that, and I know people, that do go through that, and it's almost a case of, well, that is the case, that is the situation. Look at your options now, don't focus on the negative, focus on the positive and look at all of your options.
And obviously traditionally, for people that find themselves in that situation, the first thought is go through clearing, find a different uni. But let's talk a little bit about apprenticeships and vocational qualifications, because that's a very obvious another angle as well.
And more so now than it was when I graduated back in 2003. It was a case of absolutely what you just said. You go through clearing, you find another university, that's what you have to do. Whereas there are other options. There are apprenticeships, so you can actually, maybe earn, I think the average apprenticeship salary is about £120, £130 a week. You can do that and get a qualification at the same time. So there are other options, and I think it's really important that people know that.
Yeah, and I think, Harry, was that the choice that you made?
Definitely. I think that uni wasn't for me, and there are ways out there to become a professional qualified person without having a degree.
Did you feel though did you make that decision before you got your A-level results, or was that a decision that you made in due course? I
was lucky that I didn't know I wanted to work in finance.
Right.
And so throughout the course of doing my A-levels, I had done experience in finance to double check that was what I wanted to do as a career. And so when the results day came, that was the path that I wanted to go down rather than university.
Yeah, spot on. And now, looking back, do you feel like you've missed out on university at all? Or speaking to your mates who maybe went?
Not at all. I mean, there is obviously the social side of university, but, the people you work with are just as social. You go out for a drink on a Friday night with them, no problem, and you still see your friends when they're back from uni in between terms. So I don't think the social side is such a loss.
Yeah, and I think, Emma, you kind of had one decision and one path that you felt you had to do, but then you suddenly realised, hang on, this isn't for me, and then you changed your path.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I was at school and it was like expected to go to university. No one else, there was no other option was really like known to me, so I just applied to university, followed the crowd, did that, and then when I got to university, I suddenly realised that I hadn't made the choice myself. I didn't want to be there, and so, you know, I tried, but after 6 weeks I dropped out. But then I realised that there are other ways into accountancy. Well, I did AAT, and I applied to my employer Baker Tilly, who offer this great scheme where school leavers can get a job, they can work, they can learn, and study at the same time and get paid. So it's a great. It's definitely worked for me. It was definitely the right choice for me. So
and with tuition fees and the costs of university, what they are these days, it seems like quite a practical option. Definitely. I mean, Amy, perhaps you could sort of give us a bit more insight about the qualification that the AAT is offering.
Yeah, well, it's in terms of companies, absolutely recognise it. I mean, I actually my job is that I go out to companies each day who are recruiting, and I sit there and help them find their ideal candidate. And AAT is actually just, you kind of expect that it's going to come up in conversation. It's very well recognised, because they're actually practically learning what the AAT are teaching, whereas I know that you're not just reading a book and going, oh, you know, that sounds interesting. They're actually in the workplace. The tutors actually come into the workplace. So from an employment point of view, from the employer point of view, it's sort of minimum stress and so it's a great qualification to have. And then it also leads straight up then on into if somebody wants to get chartered, which I suppose where you're at, Emma, is that you did AAT and now you're doing your ACA, whereas a lot of people go into university, start their ACA at the same time as Emma, but with a lot of debt behind them and possibly without that number of years work experience on their CV. It's about what's right for you, really.
Absolutely. Well, it certainly is a good qualification and a good route to go. And we can hear now from the